All right, so systems as word problems. The one thing that I want you guys to be aware of when we're looking at systems with word problems is that you are always going to set up your system exactly the same. So the first equation, and either write this off to the side or at the top or right underneath the problem. Equation 1 is always going to be the amount of items that we have sold, that we have. Your first equation is always going to be the amount of items. Okay, so for example 1, it'll be like the total number of adult tickets and the total number of student tickets sold, which gives you the total number of tickets sold. Okay, so that's always equation 1. You will always set it up exactly the same. Equation number 2 is always going to have to do with the cost, the profit, the money. So it would be like total money. So it always has to do with the money. So with your first equation, you should never have money taken into consideration. Money gets taken into consideration in the second equation. Okay? So let's actually look at example 1. We have a movie theater. Tickets to a local movie theater were sold at $4 for adults, $2.50 for students. If 430 tickets were sold for a total profit of $1,210, how many of each type of ticket were sold? What we have to do first is identify our variables. So our first variable is going to be the number of adult tickets. I usually call it A. So A is the number of adult tickets. You have to identify your variables, because if you just start using variables like X and Y, A and S, M and N, whatever, I don't necessarily know what that means. Okay, so you have to tell me what the variable means. So what do you want to give? What variable do you want to give the number of student tickets? S. So S equals the number of student tickets. Okay, so number of student tickets. So now our first equation, it has to do with the amount of items we sold. So we're going to take A, the number of adult tickets. If we add S, the number of student tickets, how many tickets total does that give me? 430. Good. Might need some extra room. Okay, so let's write a second equation. Your second equation always has to do with the total amount of money. So we need to figure out how much money we made from adult tickets first. How much does an adult ticket cost? $4. So we're going to multiply $4 by every adult ticket that we sold, and that tells us how much money we made for each adult ticket. So how would I figure out how much money I make for each student ticket? Multiply by 2.5. So 2.5S equals how much money we made total, which is 1,210. So far, so good? We have one decimal here. It's just 1. I'm not going to worry about getting rid of it, okay? Since we have just the one single tiny, tiny decimal that we actually could work with, I'm not going to worry about it because that's going to make more work for me than I actually have to. So, taking a look at this, I usually like to use elimination on these because it makes my math really quick. So what do you guys want to eliminate, the A's or the S's? I would definitely say the A's as well. So let's multiply by -4. And that's going to give me -4A minus 4S equals negative 4 times 0, 12, 172. Let me rewrite that. Negative 172. 1,720. I know what I'm saying. Okay, so then we're going to add straight down. 4a minus 4a cancels. 2.5s minus 4s gives me negative 1.5s equals negative 510. And then divide both sides by negative 1.5. So we get s equals what? We should get s equals 340 student tickets. It should always come out positive, right? Because we're talking about the number of tickets sold, so make sure that your answer makes sense. Then I just need to figure out how many adult tickets I sold. So I'm going to plug S back into my top equation. So that's A plus 340 equals 430. Ooh. So then, yeah, you can just subtract 340. So really, we could have just subtracted 340 from 430, and that gives us A equals what? 90 adult tickets. So we sold 90 adult tickets and 340 student tickets. So example 2, a fruit stand sold 16 pieces of fruit for $7.30. They sold apples for 50 cents each and oranges for 40 cents each. How many of each kind did they sell? First equation always has to do with the amount of items that we're talking about. So, what variable do you want to give apples? A. Okay. So A equals the number of apples. What about oranges? What variable do you want to give oranges? O. Okay. O is fine. We can use O. The only thing that I want you all to be aware of is if you use O, make sure that you either do a cursive O or you put a slash through it or something so that you don't think that it is a 0, okay? Because it has happened, I think particularly on this problem, where I've had students that use O as their variable, and then halfway through the problem they think it's a 0, and then their answer gets all messed up because for some reason the oranges disappeared and they don't know why. Okay, so make sure that if you use O as a variable, that it's cursive so that you don't think that it is a 0, okay? So we'll use it just so that we can practice not making it a 0. So, first equation always has to do with the number of items that we sold. So my first equation is going to be the number of apples plus the number of oranges equals how many pieces of fruit did we sell? 16. Excellent. The second equation always has to do with the cost and how much money we made. How much does an apple cost? 50 cents, so 0.5, right? You don't have to put the 0 behind it. So 0.5a plus, how much does an orange cost? So that's 0.40 equals, how much did we make? $7.30. I'm just going to put 7.3 because you don't need the 0 behind it right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would definitely vote for getting rid of the decimals this time. What do we have to do? Yeah, move it over 1, which is the same as multiplying by 10. So let's rewrite the purple equation first. So if I move my decimal over 1 space for everything, that's going to give me 5a plus 4o equals 73. Now, looking at the red equation and my new purple one, which variable do we want to eliminate? A's? It really doesn't matter. Let's do the A's. So if I'm eliminating the A's, that means I'm going to multiply by -5. So that's going to be -5a minus 5o equals -80, or, okay, 80, right? Yeah. Oops. So now let's add both equations straight down. A's cancel. I am left with -o equals -7. So how many oranges did we sell? 7. So then, going back up to the red equation, apples plus oranges is 16. So when I subtract 16 minus 7, that gives me apples is what? 9. It's always going to be that way. Every single time.